Okay, we're talking about the new world of video journalism. I've got Bill McCandless, the VP of Video at Bleacher Report, which is now owned by Turner, right? So Bleacher Report, I think a lot of us associate that with sports blogging, where it got its start. Tell us, what's the video portion of that, and how has that grown?
And Bleacher Report over the years has evolved in terms of the way that it creates content. So certainly as a platform in the beginning, but media company now, where we're getting 95% more of our reads to paid writers who are creating content for us. So in the video space and in the video business, we're a startup in a startup. We've been around for about 2.5 years. And the last year and a half since the Turner acquisition has been a rapid growth and rapid investment. 2014 for the company is very much about that video investment and how we take enormous steps to be able to create broader content, more credible content, more authoritative content that still maintains that cool feel that our demographic demands. And by owning sort of that 18 to 34 demographic there, they can move pretty quickly. So you need to be very much in touch with them and understand how they want to share and what they want to talk about. So by covering teams as opposed to covering sports, we cover 300 or more different teams and topics, and delivering that very specific content, very narrow and very deep. Video is able to then come in and enhance that and create new stories, create new visuals, create new intimacy, and give our viewers and our readers access that they did not have before.
So I want to talk about a few things that you're sort of hinting at here, but just give us some stats. How many videos a day do you produce? What numbers can you share with us in terms of how big the video portion of Bleacher Report is?
There's two different ways to look at it. The sports calendar is a wonderful thing because it's fairly well defined, and it's much better than the news calendar, which is I wonder what's going to happen later today. So when items like the NFL draft approach, which is the largest event on Bleacher Report, we're able to start producing content for that in December. The draft is in May. We could create up to 500 different videos just about the NFL draft very early, stretch them out long tail. Then on a short tail basis, start to create a lot of little videos against that. So on a daily basis, it's 15 to 20 videos overall across all the sports. But at the same time, we're doing massive scale projects of 300, 400 videos to create relevancy against players and topics as teams start to look forward and those fan bases look forward to an event like the draft. Olympics, March Madness, Super Bowl, NBA Finals, NBA Draft, all of these play into it. Fantasy football. You start to build that anticipation, and video comes in and provides context and provides extra content against those sets that people really are passionate about.
Right, and you were showing me one of your apps last night, mobile apps, where the interface is very much I choose a team, and then all of a sudden I just get a feed of everything for that team. It's text, it's video, it's even curation as well, right? Talk about that approach of sort of helping people create their own channels around their interest.
So the product is TeamStream, and millions of downloads, millions of active users and uniques on a monthly basis. TeamStream is content agnostic. There's no walls on the garden, and so we will as readily link to our own content as we will ESPN's content, as we will to Yahoo, Fox, anyone. What we want to create for that fan is the best content experience in one place, because those of us that grew up with newspapers had to get 3 or 4 papers to cover our team. And when you move to the web, then you're bouncing around all of these different places. And so TeamStream puts that all in one place, and it really puts it in the palm of your hand. Because at the end of the day, everybody's doing sports on the weekend on their phone. And so as you know that, and you start to look at how content fits into the stream, and how our videos need to fit into that stream, it's a really high bar. I'm essentially an agnostic content source to the programmers who put TeamStream together. And so I have to, in conjunction with data and with our content team, put together items that will then be programmed.
So what's the engagement of video in that mobile environment versus on the desktop? Talk a little bit about that. What are the numbers looking like? Is mobile catching up? What's the engagement level?
Mobile caught up.
You're having more mobile views than desktop views?
There can be those moments.
Okay.
Because of the seasonality, because of the way sports works, where it's a weekend driven, particularly around football, we see mobile explode on weekends.
Okay.
And we see mobile explode around larger events. And so video is right into that. The public company can't get into the numbers, but I can tell you that mobile's a massive part of what's going on, and it's a massive part of where we're going to go this year in terms of video. So We think on the business side and the producing creative side, my team thinks mobile first. We start with that screen, and everything else is great, but we need to start with that experience and what's in that person's hand.
Okay, so let's talk about the data a little bit. How do you use data to determine what kind of video that you're going to produce? A lot of it is maybe historical, or what are the big teams. The big teams, the top 5 teams aren't going to change that much, but then there's things you need to be opportunistic about,
Sure.
right? There are amazing plays, wild card comes up, right? So talk a little bit about the data, how fast you can react to it to create content around it.
Bleacher Report is a data-driven organization, 100%. We begin and end with what the data tells us, because that's what the fans are telling us, and that's what they're telling us about what they want for their team, where their passion lies. And so when you play to passion and you play to hope, there's always a next event for those teams. And data helps you figure out where that is and what it will look like. So we know that the draft, going back to the draft, the draft is a moment that you can't do enough content against. Okay, but what are the stories you need to tell inside there? How narrow do you slice it? The data paints that picture for us, both in text and in video. So every day, data drives what we do and what we create. So my old background is in television, which was my gut. And the numbers that came in were Nielsen, or they were Magid research, minute by minutes and things like that. But you had no idea why the needle moved. You just know it did. Mm-hmm. So the beauty of the web, I know why the needle moved. I know what happened. This audience came in on this. They saw this word. Oh, we changed that. That thumbnail was brighter. It was, oh, okay, great. We see respond and react, A/B, and we can start to figure out this is a place where people really like it. Add in social. You want to create video that people immediately say, did you see this? Did you know this? And as long as you drive against that and think about that as a content creator, mm-hmm. that helps translate data into content.
So then the final question is, this gets back to the relationship between print and video. And again, I think of Bleacher Report as having its origins in the printed word, or the text word at least. And just like many publishers online, right, they established themselves as print, and then they moved into video. And there's an economic reason for that, right? Because the CPMs for video are much higher than the banner ads for print. Can you talk a little bit about how in that Bleacher Report you manage that relationship or that transition? Do you see the amount of time spent shifting between text and video, or is it all one big soup?
It's kind of a big soup. It really depends on the event, and it really depends on the story and where you are in the moment. So a great highlight, and highlights are very much a commodity business, can be found anywhere, engaged at any moment, and has a very short shelf life. Great content with an awesome story, with emotion, with passion, can be much longer tail and is much more sort of original to your site. It reflects your brand and voice. So we look inside those stories to figure out which match the moment. In terms of how our content group and our video group work together, they are in the same house, and they work hand in hand in terms of what content we want to create and in what form it's going to take. So we don't look to create a video for an article. Mm-hmm. We look to create a video that's a great story. And again, we're striving at the end of the day to fit into that stream and to be part of what is considered relevant content for a very narrow thing, which is a fan of a team. And you have to speak to them, not down, not as if you're the guy from the national network that parachuted in and doesn't really understand the context of the story or the narrative that's going on. And so by having people who focus independently on those teams and understand that narrative, you're able to deliver a much better story. And then you're just making great decisions about visuals and sound and access. When we go spend time with basketball players and they're telling us about their passion around their car shop where they're tricking out cars for their friends, that's a video story. When you're doing an X's and O's breakdown about a cover 2 and how that's going to impact a crossing route for the Broncos, you could do it in video, but the reality is it's an enormous amount of stills that have some animation on them, and it's very much that text portion. So news is what people talk about. video is what people want to share. Starting to put those two together, data informs that, and then just really intelligent, smart, creative people are able to execute against that.
Great, terrific. Thank you.
Thanks.